With over 400 celebrity interviews and tons of pop culture nerdiness, Too Opinionated is a safe haven for your inner geek. Find us at meistercon.com or on YouTube under MeisterCon Pod. And please subscribe. It would really help us out. Thanks, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. I am so excited today. I've got singer-songwriter Sweetlove with me. So welcome, Wendy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I really am happy to be here.
I've been listening to your music and it evokes a lot of emotions. It really pulls the heartstrings.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean it's a very, very personal record, as I know you know a little bit about it, but yeah, I wrote it after I'd gone through a really difficult time and had several losses of people that I loved, and the only thing I knew how to do was write songs about it. So I wrote, I made a record, and this record is a more stripped down version of the original. So I think the story has really come through, which I love.
I read kind of the background, about the songwriting process and what you were writing the songs about. And that was kind of hard. It was kind of heartbreaking to read some of that. But then I listened to it and I mean, your voice is beautiful. And it gives you that little shake, it feels like your heart's shaking a little bit. I mean, it was really good.
Oh. Thank you so much. That means a lot. I'm really delighted with how it came out. We did this stripped record with my friend Wes Hutchinson, who's a wonderful songwriter, artist, and producer. And I said, I want to do this stripped down thing, and he's like, yeah. So he helped me reimagine it, and I just think he did a beautiful job.
He did good.
It was really, and we did a couple of the songs we actually recorded live in a friend's studio. So a couple of the tracks are actually just live, me and him and guitar, and it's just. I'm really happy with it. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's terrific. So you released the EP. It's Goodnight Lover,
right.
But it's got 6 songs on it, right? And it came out this past Friday.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It's really exciting, and especially when you put your literal tears and your sweat and all this into something. Especially when the subject is so important to you. Yeah. So to have it be able to be out in the world and people hear it, and you hear all the different comments. I like this song, or people say that certain songs speak to them and brings them a little bit of comfort, and that makes me really happy as an artist.
Yeah. Well, same. I listened through the 6, and I want to get it right. Did you even know? That was my favorite.
I'm so glad. I think on the record, it's my favorite. We redid it with the piano, and I just love that piano. I think it's so beautiful, and so I love that song. So I'm glad you like it too.
I think that's why I liked it so well. My mother plays piano, so I tend to lean toward those type of songs, and that one I think is they're all terrific. They're all terrific. And then the Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, that's the one that's it's a little different from the other ones.
It's a little more stripped down.
No. Devil on Your Shoulder. That's the one.
Devil on Your Shoulder. Yes. There's 2 devil songs. I know it's confusing.
Yeah, and that one they're all so good, but that one isn't quite as emotional pulling. It's a little more hopeful, I think. So I thought it was a nice break to put in there with the rest of them. It gives you that little lift, before you finish the album.
Absolutely. And that was a choice. It almost didn't make it on the record because the demo was, I just couldn't quite figure out if it was like, did it fit? And then we thought so many people I sent some demos to friends and they all picked that song. And so I thought, okay, the people have spoken, and
it's
so, I really love it. And I'm really thrilled that it has a life, and it's just, and it is, I think, especially when you go through hard times, that's the whole thing is, what do I want my life to look like? How can I honor people that I've lost? So that's the whole thing about being brave, and doing the things that you love.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to talk more about the EP, but let's back up a little bit. Tell me a little bit about what got you into music.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I was telling someone recently, I sort of feel like it was somewhat accidental and somewhat a destiny. Like I grew up in a house full of music. My dad, there's a picture of me when I'm a baby in a stroller. He's playing the guitar and singing to me. We grew up with like vinyl in the house, so I listened to a
Yeah.
bunch of folk singers. And I went to church a lot as a kid, and that's a very, they take worship very seriously. Singing is
Yeah.
a form of worship. So I think that's always been inside me. And I've always, my parents were teachers. I've always been a reader. And I just, at some point, kind of realized, oh, I could put the words with the music and do this for real. And it was like kind of like a light went on inside me when I figured out that I could do that. And I just love it.
I wanted to ask you if you had some church influence on some of your music. I grew up in a family that was very involved in the church, and it's very musical, and I got a little bit of that feel with some of your music. So that doesn't surprise me that you grew up that way.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you can't, it's in my bones, so I think it just comes out, but I do write with a lot of like that kind of imagery in my songs and playing with themes of the devil and,
Yeah.
because in some places it can be a very rigid way to grow up, which in some ways was my experience. And so
Yeah.
I like playing with the idea of it's more about freedom and more about, becoming the person that you're supposed to be, that you were either created or destined to be, or however you want to see it.
Yeah, I love that because I think that's a good way to describe it. It can be very rigid, but it can also be very influential if you can take some of those experiences and turn them into something positive and creative. So I love that you did that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really good. So as you were growing up, did you participate school wise in anything musical?
I'm a little late to that game. I mean, I did a little bit. I sang, I think, in a choir, I think I
Yeah.
sang in like a musical, a couple of musicals, probably pretty badly, so I didn't do it as earnestly as I'm doing it now,
Yeah.
and when I was in college, I got a little tiny scholarship to a, a women's choir my freshman year, and I think they gave me enough of a scholarship to pay for the dress I had. It was like they weren't recruiting me, let's put it that way. But I did sing, and I just I loved collaborating with other voices, and
Yeah.
that's when I was really in college when I started singing. We had like one of those little coffee house things where you could sing
Yeah.
your songs, and so I kind of started from there and just never stopped.
Yeah. Do you play instruments?
I do. I play the guitar,
Yeah.
and I play piano, but compared to some of the piano players that I know, I'm like, that's being generous to me. But I dabble with that a little bit, but I do play the guitar.
Yeah, that's pretty great. That's pretty great. When you first started, were you singing or were you starting out like playing guitar and eventually got into the singing part?
I was singing. I was singing from
Yeah.
from the go. Like I would sing other people's songs before I knew that I could write my own. I really didn't feel like I knew what I was doing, and so I did that thing where I was like, oh, I'm not any good at that, and I was way too. I wish I had been less afraid to be terrible at it, because I think I
Yeah.
would have written a lot more songs and collaborated with more people. So I started singing, and I also started writing poetry, and I was always a reader and a writer. And then at some point I went, wait a minute,
Yeah, that
wait a minute, this is
connects.
like peanut butter and jelly.
Your voice is so good. I'm surprised you didn't get pushed harder when you were younger.
Thank you so much. I mean, to be frank, I've worked on it and developed it a lot in these
Yeah.
past 10, 15 years. So I didn't have that kind of an instrument before. I mean, people would say, oh, that was nice, but it wasn't, it wasn't like, you're going to be a star. You should be like, they were like, this is great. You should do whatever you want to do. But as most people that you look at and think, if you think, oh, they're so talented, there's so much work. I have a voice coach. I do exercises. I do all kinds of things
I think
still to
that's
this
the part
day.
that most people don't realize, that people that are really accomplished musicians or as singers especially, there's so much work that goes into that. Most people aren't just opening their mouth and go.
Exactly, exactly. And it's like anything, I think if you get good enough to make it look easy, even though, you know, they don't see all the failures and the you know, the mistakes you made on stage and all of the, you know, things that have gotten you to a place. And I still, you know, I still am like, oh, I wish I could sing like that. You know, I wish I could sing like that, because there's so many incredible singers in my orbit. But, you know, one of the things I learned as a singer is, like, you know, don't be afraid to lean into your own place where you can shine. And so I learned how to write songs a little bit so that, you know, I'm more comfortable singing them, and it's made a difference, I think.
Yeah, I've never thought of it that way, but if you're a songwriter and you know your own voice, yeah, obviously you're going to write songs that you could sing well.
Yeah, I mean, at least if you're writing for yourself, obviously,
That's right.
you know, I've you know, you write for other people, which is wonderful, and I love it. But for my own stuff, it's, you know, you just, the things that you learn along the way, right?
Yeah, yeah. So have you sung as part of a band, or you know, is it you and then some background people?
I've done both. I mean, right now, in the history, I sang in like a comedic burlesque band for a while. That was just super fun. I've done a bunch of different things for fun, because it's fun for me. You know, music
Yeah,
is so communal. So it's like your friend will be like, "Come sing in my band." I'm like, "All right," you know, it sounds like fun to me. My own stuff, like, because I am under my own name, so I have, you know, I bring in my musicians. This project, I mean, it was me and Wes, my producer, the
yeah,
guitar, and then I think we had that one wonderful, the piano player, Dave Musherm. But, you know, so it depends on the project. It depends on the, you know, the thing. I had a band that I played with more exclusively, and then I changed my sound. You know, things just kind of ebb and flow that way. So, but I love having the opportunity to play with both people that I know and new people, because you get a different, you know, like
that's
people
right.
that you play with, people that, you know, I find I'm more relaxed because I trust them behind me. I know what they're going to do. And so sometimes it helps me be more relaxed on stage. But I love bringing new people in for new sounds, because they might take something somewhere. I'm like, wow, I wouldn't have thought of that. So, you know, it's you get something great either way.
Yeah, yeah, I like that a lot, and I love the fact that these songs, they're pretty stripped down, so you don't have a ton of things accompanying it, so you can really concentrate on the actual song. And I think that was it was really nice. Like, I didn't realize that there wasn't a whole lot going on in the background until I got finished listening. I went back to listen again. I was like, well, yeah, it's, you know, you really concentrate on you singing, and the rest just kind of amplifies that. And I thought that was really nice.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do it, is to sort
Yeah.
of reimagine the songs. And it just, you know, when you're not, because the original record was gorgeous. I mean, it came out so beautiful, and I'm so in love with it. But it was nice to be able to take those stories and just do something that really focused on the stories themselves. And I, you know, I really, it's fun for me to listen to again, because, and I think the sounds that Wes got with, you know, the mic, the vocals, and the just the warmth of the instruments. I just
Yeah.
think he did a really beautiful job, and it feels nice to listen to, I think.
It had kind of a coffee house type of feel. You know, it felt very intimate while you were listening. I like that. Have you got the chance to perform those live since you kind of redid them?
Not really. You know, it's funny with COVID and everything, obviously, like for a while, everything here was shut down in LA for a really long time. And now, and a lot of the smaller venues closed.
I know it's so
And
sad.
yeah,
It's like the times we've been back to LA since the pandemic started. It's different. There's a lot of stuff there that a lot of restaurants, a lot of places we used to go that aren't there anymore.
it's really different. And you know, it's starting to come back, but people are still sort of like inching back, and you know,
Yeah.
and so I actually I don't know if I haven't posted about it, but I do have a show in October, I think, that I'm playing with a friend of mine. He's got like a record release. I'm opening for him.
Yeah.
So that'll be on my
That's
socials, hopefully
exciting.
coming soon. Yeah. So I'm starting to get, you know, Gail and I are talking about doing you know, doing some stuff in Nashville, and I'm going to go out to New York soon, and hopefully, so I'm sort of at that
Perhaps
process
West
of like,
Virginia.
I would love to truly, like, just let me know where to go and we'll work
You
it
know,
out.
West Virginia is like we have a festival going on every weekend
Amazing.
somewhere because we're trying to pump up things to do because we don't have a lot of the destination places here. So we just throw festivals all the time.
I love it. Well, I love a festival. It's well, any place you can just kind of get people out, hanging out and being happy and celebrating
Yeah.
things, listening to music. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's not terrible when you're just basically eating and listening to music. It's not bad.
I can't think of many things I enjoy more than that, really. We're big eaters in my family too, so.
Yeah, here too. Well, so tell me a little bit about the music. What inspired you to write, these particular songs? What's the story behind it?
Yeah, so when I started writing this record, I didn't know that I was writing a record. I was trying to work on my craft of songwriting, and I wanted to write more. And I started writing with this wonderful writer named Jay Stolar,
Mhm.
who's since, I think he's since gone on. I think he's written for Aloe Black and Selena Gomez, and he's done all these wonderful things.
All
So of
those
course,
those people.
I like to think I got him a start.
Yeah, maybe you
But
got him. You got him the confidence to move on.
exactly. So we started writing this record, and oh, actually, I'm sorry. Actually, before that, I am in 2017, Christmas Day of 2017. I lost my oldest friend to mental illness,
Yeah,
and um, I had known him since I was literally not even a year old. So he was kind of part of my
it's like
who I
family.
was. Yeah, he was my family. And so when we lost him, I just felt really unraveled. And I went to New York and met with this writer named Zach Burke, and we wrote "Before the Devil Knows You're Dead."
Yeah,
That. So it's like that we wrote it because I wanted to capture that sort of nostalgia of how you feel, when you lose someone that's like deeply, deeply important to you. A part of you feels like they're missing, and so I love how like Zach and I came up with sort of that that it's that old space and that old saying, like, may you be in heaven an hour before the devil knows you're dead. So it's kind
yeah,
of like hopefully sending someone off to a place where, especially if they were suffering, they're at peace. Hopefully
yeah.
he's with his dad now. And, those kinds of things, at least it brings me comfort to think that.
Well,
And
and I can
then,
tell you're very emotional about it now.
yeah, yeah. I mean, so there are some kinds of losses that just, they
Yeah,
never go away from you. You just kind of expand your heart to hold them in a different way and keep their memory alive. And, and it's complicated. It goes in waves.
that's right.
You wish they were still here. You're glad they're not suffering, all of that. And then that year, that's when I started writing with Stolar. I was like, let's write some songs. And then later that year, I lost a longtime love of mine and an old friend of mine to suicide. And he was like this wild light. Like my sisters grew up in his house. We were family,
Yeah,
and we were all absolutely shattered when we lost him. I mean, he had been a medic in Iraq, and he had been suffering, but he was getting help. We thought he was okay. So, and I was so shattered that I didn't know what else to do but write songs about it.
yeah.
Like it was my place to go where I could kind of fall apart, but also find a way to like process it and be mad or be sad or whatever I was feeling, and then make something beautiful. Um, so I wrote all the rest of the songs I wrote after he died,
Yeah.
after we lost David, and then I lost my cousin to alcoholism a couple months later. So it was like it was a
Yeah,
year of
that's an awful year.
it was really hard, and especially when you lose people to mental illness or to self-destruction,
Yeah.
there's a particular kind of grief around it because you wonder what you could have done differently. How come some people are saved and some people aren't saved? And I know that's
Yeah,
probably a
there's a lot
question
of
for
emotions there,
a
and it
brain buried.
probably
Yeah,
the whole growing up with a church background that can cause a whole different set of emotions to come up. I'm sure there's some of that kind of survivor guilt that we go through when you lose somebody close, because you wonder what could I have done.
absolutely. And you know, so yeah, it was a tough year, and all of these songs kind of came out of that experience.
Yeah.
And so it was, it's everything. It's such a mixed emotion because part of me wishes I didn't have to write it. You know what I mean? I
Well, that's
wish I
right.
didn't, but I also am so proud of it. I'm so honored to have written with these incredible writers that help bring these stories to life. And every musician that touched it, the producer. I mean, it's just, what an incredible gift to take these people's spirit and memory and make something beautiful that's now going to stay in the world. And
Yeah,
I
I
love
love it.
that.
Yeah, I love that too. I think that's so terrific. Was it difficult? Like I'm sure it was difficult writing, but kind of therapeutic. But was it difficult the first time that you started singing the songs, especially when it wasn't just you singing them?
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, sometimes, I mean, sometimes I still like when I sing, particularly when I sing like things I didn't say to you, because that one's such a like to me that's like it's almost a dirge, like you know what I mean. I mean, there's the
Yeah,
end of it is has sort of a like a letting go, but it was like such a deeply written song, and sometimes I still have a hard time getting through it, you know, because I mean, it's you know when just losing someone like that, it's just it's awful, it's horrible, and someone that was so beautiful and so loved, and it's you know it's just you just are filled with anguish. So that's definitely you know
yeah, it's a
it
lot
was
of
yeah
emotions.
it was a lot of emotions, and thankfully everyone that worked on the record was treated it with such care and thoughtfulness and like compassion, and I think you
Yeah.
can hear that in the songs, which is lovely.
Oh, you can. That's why I said it really tugs on you.
Thank you.
You can feel it, and I think you're not just singing the songs. You can tell they're very personal to you, and I think that makes a difference too. I mean, they're beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So, was it's only been a couple of days, but what's the
Yeah.
response been on the
You
release?
know, people have been really lovely.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of, you know, we've got some couple of wonderful reviews in the press, which I was so grateful for. And you know, a friend of mine called me and she said, I really think, because she had heard the original record, and she said, I really think this is the best record you've ever done. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, because you're in your little bubble and you're, you know, it's like a stripped
Sure.
down record, so it doesn't have all the beautiful bells and whistles that I love. But she was really, and so people have been really responsive, and I think because we focus on the stories, and it's so simple. Thankfully, the response has been very positive so far, so that's always nice to hear.
Yeah, yeah, that's terrific. Has your because I know some of your family was also close with some of the ones that you lost. Have they given you positive feedback on the songs?
Absolutely, yeah, everybody's been. You know, my friend Matt, that I wrote before the Devil Knows You're Dead. I sent every time I do something new with that song, I send it to his mom. You know, and then and
Oh, I like
I
that.
mean, obviously, yeah, I mean, I grew up in her house. She was a second mom to me. So I
Yes.
can't even imagine what the kind of pain she's feeling. And so I try to sort of keep that in front of her. And I used a picture on the last single. I used a picture of the two of us as kids, you know, on the lawn. She might have
I
even
like
taken it.
that.
So I just try to keep that. And, you know, my parents, I mean, you know, I'm lucky my parents are fans, and
Yes.
they're like, oh, Wendy, it's just beautiful. They're really sweet. So yeah, my family's been really, really positive, and which is lovely. You know, you want people to feel like you're doing justice to the memories
That's
of
right.
people that they loved as well. And you know, David's sisters, like I'll send them things and memories and songs, and so hopefully it's
That's a big
you know,
deal.
yeah, yeah.
And that's I think most of us we kind of that's part of the grieving and the healing process is we do that through song or through poetry or both. And I think what a terrific way to help heal those wounds.
I hope so. I mean, you know, it's like it's your little, it helped me, and people have been really positive, and I've heard people say that this song really spoke to me in a way that I lost my mom, and that really means a lot as an artist and as a human. Because
Sure.
grief to me is like it's weird because it's collective, but it's also very lonely because
Right.
anytime you lose someone, you knew them in your own very unique way, and so you're grieving like these very unique moments with them. So it's a very strange kind of seesaw where then that but then connecting with people that knew this person helps. So I'm trying to sort of keep memories alive, keep people connected to the memories, and I do my best anyway.
Yeah. 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 So if you had to describe your music, how would you classify? What kind of music is it?
Oh gosh, you know, I mean, it's almost feels like a little bit of everything. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, it's definitely singer-songwriter. It's got some folk in it. Sometimes like a little bluesy rock in there because I like to have a little,
I thought it was a
a
little
little
bluesy.
rasp, a little swagger.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little something in there. So, and it's funny, like I always think Americana, when we promote it, we say Americana, which is almost everything
Yeah.
that's not exactly something else. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not rock, but it could be. It's not folk, but it could be. So I feel like it's kind of this.
Don't you like that the last decade or so, especially the lines have gotten blurred? It's not
Yeah.
Americana is a good way to say it because it touches on everything instead of just being pop or just being country or rock or whatever it is. It kind of encompasses all of that.
Yeah, I actually really do love that. I love that people are sort of bending genres and mixing
Yeah.
genres. And, historically in music, they'd say, well, you have to be this kind of artist and you have to stick in that lane. And I think that's smart for a lot of people. If you're a pop artist, that's great. But I think if you are interested in different kinds of genres, like, wonderful. I have a friend who his girlfriend is a jazz singer. I guess her parents were jazz singers and she came up, but now she's doing this sort of pop fusion and she's absolutely, her name's Veronica Swift and she's absolutely sensational.
Yeah.
But some of the classic jazz people are kind of like, well, and I think, oh my gosh, but that's what music is about. Music is about like sort of taking this and making it your own, taking
Right.
this and bringing in something else. And so I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I love the fact that the music is beautiful, but the actual words, the songwriting is so good, and that's something that I think I'm getting older, so maybe partly my age, but that's something I don't think that we get as much of now as we used to. Is just the really good songwriting. The music now is amazing. But
Amazing.
sometimes I think the actual songwriting we miss out on, but not in your case. It's terrific.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, as I've said, I am so fortunate to have worked with some extraordinary songwriters on this record. Jay Stolar, Adam Tressler, Evangelia, Garin from Kill the Alarm. I know
Yeah.
I'm missing someone, Zach Berkman. And, as you know, with collaboration of artists, it makes, to me, it's like makes everything better. It sharpens your mind. It brings in new
That's right.
ideas. And it is interesting because I think maybe because there's the market's so saturated, like there's just so many people doing things. And it's sometimes things that are popular are not always the most, sometimes they are, but they're not always the most well-crafted song,
Right.
because if you have an ear, and listen, it's a business. People make money, and I love pop music.
That's right. It can be very catchy, but not necessarily the best written.
Yeah, it might not have the best craft behind it, but But listen, I'm a guilty pleasure bop girl. Like my sister and I, sisters and I. Yeah. So, but it is. I personally love. I'm the daughter of two educators. I grew up reading books and writing, so I love a story. That's part of what I love about Americana is they really seem to value a beautiful story and a crafted song, and I've always loved that. So it's fun for me to be a part of it, a little part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Have you ever considered just writing these stories into a book or a short story?
Oh, that's really interesting. I certainly wouldn't be opposed to it.
Yes.
I love to write. Both my aunts are published writers. I mean, I come by it honestly. My mom's, my family, my dad's a writer. That'll be really fun. I thank you for the idea. I actually maybe I'll do that, and then I'll say thank you in the.
That's all I need. Just a special thanks in there.
That's right.
I do think that these songs belong in like a movie or a TV show.
Thank you.
I mean, I could totally hear them playing.
I'm happy to hear that. We do. I mean, we my manager and his wife works for like a sync company, so they definitely do get pitched. And I'm actually writing. My friend Wes that produced this record with me. We were a track for a friend's movie, and that's kind of in the works. So I'm getting more into that, which I really love. That's been a wonderful experience. So I'm definitely have an eye on film and television. So yeah, so if you'd like to have my movie in your film or television show, please feel free.
Yeah. Because listening to it, I was like, if I was watching a movie and this song was playing, I'd probably be crying.
Oh,
yeah, it's really good.
Not that I want you to cry, but that's a kind thing for you to say.
Well, I'm one of those that I cry at the drop of a hat. I'm very emotional, so everything hits me hard with that, and I'm okay with it because afterwards, it's kind of cathartic. You feel
Absolutely,
that way.
absolutely. I come from like a line of criers, we're not really afraid to cry. So, and my dad, he's like always like, Wendy, I saw this movie and I thought your song would have been better. And I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh,
See, I'm the
you're
same way.
very, yeah, you're
Your
unbiased,
music
Dad.
lends to it because it kind of tells a
Thank you.
story, and it's those songs that you'd be watching, a movie, and it'd be playing kind of in the background, so you don't catch that it's evoking emotions, but it is.
Mm-hmm.
I
Thank
don't know.
you.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
no, thank you. I mean, I would be delighted by that. And it's something that I've been working towards and working on. But it's that particular industry is it's such a long game. Like you could put a song out and
Oh,
5 years later, someone's like, oh, hey, so for me, part of that is just I'm making songs I want to make.
you mean
I'm hoping.
Hollywood isn't just like instant gratification?
Can you believe it? I mean, it is. Don't get me wrong.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it can be,
Yeah,
but a lot
exactly.
of
It's 20
times
years to an overnight success is what
that's
Hollywood is.
exactly right. That's exactly right. So
Yeah. But thank
what's
you.
next? Do you have plans for more songs, another album? Are you going to change it up the next time, or will it be similar in style to this one?
Yeah, I mean, I have hopefully a Christmas song coming out
Oh,
in
nice.
November, which we're working on right now. Yeah, and probably another couple of singles because I'm writing a brand new record right now, and
Yeah,
that just takes some time.
sure
So
does.
I want to keep putting fun things out into the world, and sort of. So I've been writing with different people, and those are going to start coming out, which I'm excited about. I've got some shows coming up, hopefully like next month in LA, and then we're going to be
Yeah.
looking at Nashville and other places. I am writing the song for this movie, so follow along because that will be coming out eventually. I'm very excited about it.
I know you're really busy.
I know. You know what? I like it. I mean, it makes me happy. They say if you do what you love, you won't work a day in your life, which I think is an exaggeration because there are times when I realize that I'm
That's right.
working. But writing of the songs and the collaboration with beautiful and brilliant people is like it just fills my heart with joy. So that's wonderful. So yeah, there's a lot of that coming out. So the new record, I mean, it'll be along the same vein. I'm sure it'll have like an Americana feel, but I'm still just writing. I'm just writing the songs now. So sometimes you have to write 50 songs, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, like Goodnight Lover was started out very different, and then we weren't even sure what to title the record, and I thought, well, it has to be Goodnight Lover because that represents my entire experience of but I didn't know that until very close to actually finalizing the record that it was going to be that song was the title. So some of it to me is in the journey of what am I going through. I'm writing a lot thematically about I found out a couple years ago that my great grandmother toured with Buffalo Bill on the stage.
No way.
Yeah, her name's
That's pretty
Granny
awesome.
Graves. Yeah, and I was like, I have outlaw in my blood, and so
That's
I've been
awesome.
writing a lot about what it means to be an outlaw, a legacy, and nostalgia versus where you come from, but who you want to. All of that. So, I think it's kind of in my mind a sequel to Goodnight Lover because it was like your whole life is sort of upside down, and you're
Yeah.
going through these things, and you have to rebuild and then these are now the questions are what do I want to be, what's my legacy, what do I want to leave behind. So that's where I'm going.
I like that. So when you write, do you save the song regardless of what you do with it? Like if you never do anything with it, do you still have all of your songs?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I have a Dropbox, which is an artist friend. I've got 100,000 voice memos in my phone. I mean, some of them I'll go through if they're like bad ideas or we already did them, I'll get rid of them. But yeah, I've got demos. I've got a bunch of, just plenty of demos that might not see the light of day, but you never know. Maybe you want to rework one or
Well, that's right.
rewrite it or bring someone else or, or take the idea and reframe it. So I try to because you can take one idea and write a million different ways about it, which is really fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, they used to have artists used to have once they were established and famous, they would put out an album of B-sides.
Yeah. I
we don't really
remember.
have B-sides anymore, but
I know.
they put out, and then you would, maybe the mainstream fans, they'd be like, I don't know, but the really diehard fans, they would just eat that stuff up.
Yeah. I don't quite think I'm at that level. Like, here's some
Not
B-sides.
yet.
Everyone's like, why are we listening to your old terrible demos? But we'll see. We'll see.
I've got a group of B-side podcasts that's just basically when we first started out, terrible.
Oh my gosh.
But they're so fun to listen to.
Absolutely. And then you see how far listen, you can't write a great song until you write a bunch of bad ones. It's the same for it's the same for anything. People I always hear this, people don't compare their student film project to Stephen King's or Spielberg's film project, and they compare it to Star Wars or whatever it is.
Right.
So it's like everyone has stumbles or learning. You learn, and it's not even good or bad songs. It's just, I think, you become more skilled, you become more comfortable with who you are. I have a songwriting teacher that's like, there's no such thing as good and bad songs. But but I appreciate what he's saying, and some of it is just because if you crap on an artist's idea too early, it could have been a great idea. It just was a baby idea, and artists are hard enough on themselves as it is. So I think it's a nice thing to say, like, don't edit yourself when you're creating, just create.
Well, yeah, because even if it just leads to something else, that's still worthwhile.
Yeah. And you can exactly. Or it spawns another idea, or somebody's like, oh, hey, but not this, but let me and I love that about songwriting is it's a lot of different threads that are kind of you're pulling at into seeing, and then someone comes in, and it's just really fun. It's been really fun to have that experience.
Yeah, that's pretty great. So when you were in quarantine, was this what you were doing? Were you writing?
Well, I was some writing. I was playing the guitar a lot. I was also, I was working like a frontline job during the pandemic, and so I was actually very, very busy. And the guitar actually kind of saved me, though, because I would just, at least I could come home and like play the guitar and just feel like I was doing something besides worrying about saving the world, which was really nice. So, so I did a lot. Yeah. My friend Wes, we'd meet every week and play the guitar, and we'd write some songs, and, Zoom writing, which actually worked out pretty well. We wrote a beautiful Christmas song over Zoom that we came out a couple years ago. So I did, with like everyone else, I did my best with what I had to just keep myself. And as usual, music saved me. If I hadn't had those weekly hangs playing the guitar, I don't know what would have happened. I mean, it was a tough time mentally for me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially if you're out there during the day, when most of us weren't able to do that, that's stressful.
It was stressful. It was an extraordinary experience to be part of, literally saving the world. It was extraordinary, and I would not trade it for anything. But it took a toll, like everyone else, because I was working in a cancer center. I could not get COVID, and so I was very isolated. And so, as usual, music saved me, as it continues to do.
Yeah, that's pretty great. I spent, so my day job's in a hospital system. So I get a little bit of that. I went through a few months there where normally I don't have to do any of that stuff. I just visit with patients. But, during the pandemic, there was such a staffing shortage. I remember, gearing up like you were in a hazmat suit to kind of, do things on the hospital floor. And it was very stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope we're past most of that. I know we're still dealing with this nonsense, and we probably always will be. But hopefully we're past, that point where we won't have to go back to as bad as it was a couple of years ago.
I mean, it's certainly, I think the scientists are kind of, and I've worked pretty high up in vaccine world. And so, they're saying, at least from what I could, we obviously something could change, and, we don't, but for now, we've got I'm going to get my booster tonight, my new Omicron, my fancy Omicron.
Oh yeah. They just announced it at the hospital today that we can come and get those. So I'll be getting mine soon.
Fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic. So, I'm doing my part. it is an interesting thing now because, you know, mostly for me, I mean, I'm knock on wood in good health, but my dad is high risk, and so our family's been trying to be careful of. You know, it's just it's a delicate dance now with everyone because you have to be able to be with people and live a life, absolutely. But then, how do you protect the vulnerable, which we haven't always done a good job of, and so that's the hard thing now, I think.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And just, old habits and things that we can't, you got to be a little more careful now. You can't just go
Yes.
up and hug somebody when you see them, and you got to be a little safer, and that's difficult, I think.
It is difficult, especially because human connection is, you know,
Yeah.
the lifeblood of who we are. I mean, it's literally, like yeah. So it is, what an interesting experience that we had. And I say that, I know that's a very poor word or an inadequate word, but, I think we learned how important community is and connection is and friends and family and how
Yeah.
much we are connected to each other. We're responsible for each other,
Yes.
like our decisions really do matter. We go out and make sure to take care of our human fellow man, fellow woman, fellow person.
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting thing. It's a little bit of a reckoning almost in just people's lives and um, learning who cares about other people.
Boy, that's the truth. Unfortunately,
Yeah. So
right,
yeah.
good and bad in us.
Yeah, no. And everyone has had their level of struggle, so
Yeah.
I understand. As someone who, was very isolated and it was really, really tough on me, I understand. Like, I mean, everyone I know is kind of shell shocked and like, okay. And, trying to make their way. And I know everyone's doing the best they can.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Do you have a singer or a band that you're listening to now? Is there anybody new that you have discovered recently?
Oh my gosh, well, I haven't discovered her, but I'm deeply obsessed with Brandy Carlisle. Um, I think she's just an extraordinary. She just her. I mean, not only is her music incredible, but I think the way every time you listen to her, she's kind, she's thoughtful.
Yeah.
Just she seems to live her life the way she writes her music, which I just and she's got this sort of community, which I think is beautiful. And a lot of the new people, like a lot of the people that maybe wouldn't be on like the massive radar, are actually friends of mine, like
Oh, very
my
nice.
friend my friend Belle Saint. My friend Belle Saint is a beautiful artist. She's got this song called "We Really Need Each Other," and
Yeah.
it's like and it's stunning. So she's I mean you'll hear her on television shows, and she's got a wonderful following, but she hasn't. It's not quite the level of like Beyonce, where everyone's like, oh yeah, Belle
Right.
Saint. But
Right.
so a lot of the people that I'm really interested in are my friends that I see creating this incredible art and putting that into the world and getting to collaborate with them.
That's fun.
That's really fun for me.
Yeah.
My friends a Grand Canyon band are like putting a new record out, and so I'm really enjoying that. I'm really enjoying sort of. I've always been a little bit of like a local indie girl, though. Like I love to go to
Yes.
concerts that are people I know,
Right.
and
Well,
and
yeah, that's the
'cause
fun. That's a fun way to go to a concert.
yeah, so those are the people that I'm really excited about right now. Is like my friend Jessica Vaughn, who is like she has so many projects I couldn't even name them all. She's got Laces, and they're in all these TV shows, and she's an extraordinary. So those are the things that I'm really excited about right now. Is like people that I see on the ground, like just killing it and working hard and being brilliant and being true to them, their authentic voice, and that's really, really inspiring to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that because that's the same type of thing even in podcasting. If I've seen somebody go through some of the struggles to build an audience and to improve, it's almost like doing it myself when I see them succeed.
Absolutely. Yeah, you
It's
have a little
very
like you're
inspiring.
invested in it. Yeah, you've
Yeah.
spent your time and your money, listening, like going and listening to them, and so that's just been really fun.
Yeah, it's great. Well,
Yeah.
Wendy, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time with me. The music is amazing. I'm in awe of your voice. I just think it's beautiful, and it really does pull the emotions out of you. It's kind of exhausting, but in a good way.
Oh my goodness, no, thank you. That's so kind. And thank you for having me. This has been so much fun chatting with you. Hopefully we can chat again. And I appreciate your time and letting me speak about this record. I'm so proud of it. And
Well, you
so
should
I
be.
thank you so much.
Yeah, and you do. You have to come back the next time you have something ready to come out. So this one is Goodnight Lover.
Good
And
night, lover.
where can we find it?
It's on all the platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music. And so if you come to my social media, which is Sweetlove Sounds on all the platforms, Sweetlove Sounds, there's links to everything. But if you just type in Sweetlove Goodnight Lover on any of the platforms that you listen
It
to
pops
music,
up.
you'll find it. Yeah.
Yeah. It
And if
pops
you
up.
don't, let me know because I'm gonna have to go go shake a fist at somebody.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine you put all this time to get it out there and for some reason it's not out there? Oh,
Well, some of the algorithms are strange. People
yeah.
like I have a hard time. You have to type in a certain way, and so it's there.
Do you still remember like the first time you heard one of your songs when you weren't singing it? So whether it was
Oh
on
my gosh.
like a radio or just the internet, but do you remember the first time you heard yourself?
I don't know if I remember the first time. I remember a friend of mine, this is years ago, put a song into like a play that he was doing, like this beautiful play, and I was in the audience and my song started singing and I was like, "What?" And it was really cool, just it is really cool to yeah, you get down into the weeds of everything when you're making a
Yeah.
project like this. And so when it has a platform and it's really a delight. Like people will send me videos of them like dancing to this song or and that
Oh,
just
that's
makes
nice.
my world, yeah, because it just it's like, oh, all this work and it's out there and people are engaging in it and being
Yeah.
moved by it and you can't ask for anything more.
No, that's terrific. Are you creative in any other way? Do you paint or sculpt or anything else?
Um, I mean, I do a little voiceover, which is kind of the same, but I do like a
Ooh,
voiceover. I have a
yeah,
voiceover thing that I do.
nice.
I'm I I'm historically like a terrible cook, like an I Love Lucy, like I injure myself kind of cook. But I signed up with one of those delivery service, like it's called Blue Apron, which is like who knows, it's supposed and I'm like a cook now and I'm really proud of myself because my friends have been making fun of me for years, like years, because I would literally like hurt myself or like burn something or it's like something on the
Yeah.
ceiling or I mean it was absolutely I really love to cook. I love to
That's
dance,
great.
but I don't have like a physical form of art else because my so much of my love and time goes into the music.
Yeah, of course. Of course. So, okay. So, last thing before we wrap up, go through your social media. I know we talked about some of it for the music. Do you have separate social media for yourself?
It's all pretty much the same. It's Sweet Love Sounds.
Yeah.
My fan page on Facebook is Sweet Love Sounds. My Instagram, my Twitter, that's all Sweet Love Sound. My Venmo, in case you have $1 million and you want to be like support an indie artist, Sweet Love Sounds. That's all the ways to get to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty great. And I love the name.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was actually when I was singing in that burlesque comedic band, the lead singer was like gave us all he's like, you're this and you're that and you're Sweet Love. And I was like, cool. And then it just stuck. And it's very fitting for me because I'm like I take care of everybody. I'm like practically a breast. Like it just I take care of everyone around me. So it's somewhat fitting. And it just stuck and I really do love it. So yeah, so that's like sort of my artist
I think the
persona and
story behind the
person.
name just makes me like it more.
I know. I mean, those things are the most fun, right? Like, what a
Yeah.
great, what a great
Well, yeah.
experience. So,
When you have a name or a nickname or whatever it is, you can't give it to yourself. Someone else has to
exactly.
give that to you. It makes it
Yeah,
better.
exactly. You can't be like, I'm the Flash. You got to like, yeah. So I got lucky. Like I got a cool one from somebody and it
Yeah,
stuck.
that's a cool
And
one.
like, and it's just, it is nice to have just a little separation from yourself, just this is
Yes.
my artist, this is thing. And then I can go just relax a little bit and let my hair down behind the scenes, it is nice.
Yeah. Well, everybody needs that.
Of course. Of course.
Of course. Well, thank you so much, Wendy. And let's do this again. You have to come back.
I'd be delighted. And when I make my way to West Virginia, I promise I will come visit because I heard it's so beautiful.
Oh, you have to. Yeah. Yeah. We're right outside the Capitol, so you have to come through.
I promise I will. Thank you so
All
much
right.
for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. Hold on one. All right. So that was the talented Sweetlove. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. If you haven't listened to her music yet, do yourself a favor and check that out. It's Goodnight Lover. It's 6 songs, EP, available everywhere, and it's so good. Unbelievable voice. It's she's so talented. I knew that she was going to be good. I didn't realize how talented she actually was till I started listening to the music. It is beautiful. I absolutely loved it. So I hope you will as well. You can help us out if you haven't done so yet and you would like to support the podcast. All we're asking for is for you to subscribe. You know, our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Please subscribe. It's free. You know, there's 455 or so episodes on there. We release normally 4 episodes a week. So there's plenty of content. There is unbelievably talented people, musicians, actors, directors, authors, whatever you like. It's on there. I guarantee that we have talked to them. You know, you can find all of those episodes, audio and video, on our website, meistercon.com. It will also let you know if we're doing anything in studio, if we're going on location, if we're covering a convention, whatever it is, whatever we have going on, that'll be on the website, meistercon.com. So definitely check that out as well. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody.